What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Crib Knows Ball. My name's Crib. I claim to know ball. Watch the video and see if you agree. Today we got a couple of heater topics to talk about. I wanted to start off talking about, it's not a rumor, it sounds like a rumor. So the Warriors offered the Lakers right before the deadline a trade for LeBron, right? This is coming from Woj, so this isn't some unknown source. This is a well-known name in the basketball community. One of maybe the best. Him and Shams are the two really reliable names for news breaking for stuff like this. And he said right before the trade deadline, the Warriors offered a trade to the Lakers for LeBron. So what could that trade have looked like? What could that trade have revolved around? What would that package maybe have looked like? So yeah, we're gonna dive into that. So I think it goes without saying that a trade to the Lakers for LeBron would have had to include it, for it to even have been considered, or to even be within the realm of reason. There's no way the Warriors weren't offering a package that had Kuminga, Moody. I wouldn't be surprised if Draymond was in there for the salary. That's a messy looking package. Honestly, I don't know why the Warriors would do that, because you're trying to extend Curry's window. Adding a 40-year-old LeBron at the expense of what would have had to have been Kuminga in order to make it work is just like a really expensive ask. And I know it's LeBron James, but you're telling me you want to put every last asset you have, including whatever draft capital they would have had to include, because you're not getting LeBron for just Kuminga and Moody and Draymond. That's not happening. So I don't know. If I'm the Warriors, I don't really see why they do that. I think LeBron is only pursuable by a team like that in free agency. LeBron does have a player option next year, so he hasn't really announced whether or not he's going to opt into it, opt out of it. But that's the time that the Warriors would want to go for him, in my opinion. But that was pretty interesting. Obviously the Lakers said hell no, and I don't think that trade. I almost feel like that trade was more to appease people in the media, and hey, we're trying, man. We're trying to, we're seeing what's going to work around Curry. We're going to see what The only move they really made at the trade deadline, I think, was trading like Corey Joseph for a second-round pick. Most of the Warrior fans that I know did not like Corey Joseph. I know Draymond liked him. He said a lot of nice things about him, that he's a real professional. He shows up early, leaves late. Great. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the Knicks and the Rockets. So the Knicks were in a nail-biter with the Rockets, an injured Knicks, no Anunoby, no Mitchell Robinson, no Randall. The Knicks look like a hospital team right now. There's even DiVincenzo's now, he's missing time. So like the Knicks have been a mess, right? But Jalen Brunson's been really damn good, man. He's been special. But Jalen Brunson has been absolutely cooking. And in a game against the Rockets, the Knicks were down with about a minute or two left. The Knicks were down a couple of points. Jalen Brunson is Jesus reincarnate and is unbelievable, and was hitting crazy shots, crazy great plays, great play after great play, until the end of the game. I believe Bogdanovich fouled. They had one to give, and the Rockets were inbounding from out of bounds. So on the inbound play, they inbound the ball across the court to Jalen Green. Jalen Green eventually moves it up, and one of the Holiday brothers, Aaron Holiday, I think it's Aaron Holiday. Aaron Holiday ends up with the ball, and he puts up an absolute prayer. Game is tied at 103. He puts up a prayer with like a second left, and Jalen Brunson contests, and they called a foul. They replayed it multiple times on the broadcast while we were under the impression the refs were reviewing it. But the announcers were all saying, no, there's no foul here. There's no contact. Aaron Holiday altered his body in midair. He kind of like turned in such a way that Jalen Brunson came flying by him on the other side, and there was no contact. They didn't make any contact. The jersey may have gotten loose and a jersey brushed up against the other jersey. There was no foul. So then after the replay review, the refs come and basically said, shot was prior to the clock. The foul was prior to the clock expiring. 0.3 on the clock. 3 free throws. That's a shitty way to end the game, right? And everybody knew that. The announcers were very unhappy with how it went. It may have been I was watching the Knicks broadcast, so obviously they're going to be a little bit biased, but there absolutely was no foul. And they were absolutely right that that's not the way you end a game. It almost felt like the refs just wanted to go home. 103, second left. You don't do that. You don't make that call. The Knicks didn't have any challenges, so they weren't actually able to challenge the foul, which is why when everybody thought that the play was being reviewed, all they were actually reviewing was how much time was left relative to when the call was made. So yeah, the Rockets ended up winning that game, and the Knicks protested it, right? So the way that the protests work in the NBA, for anybody who doesn't know, is within 48 hours of a game ending, a team is allowed to protest with the league something that had happened that changed the outcome of the game in their mind, right? The league from then has 5 days to issue a statement. We're at day 3 now of that, so still waiting on a response from the NBA. But the NBA will basically say, what's going to happen now based on this. They'll say, maybe we missed the call, but it's not going to change the outcome. Or maybe like they did in 2007-2008 with the Atlanta Hawks and Miami Heat, which was the last time that a protest was upheld, where Shaq had been wrongfully called for a foul. He fouled out of the game, and then the Heat won the game without Shaq being on the floor for the Heat. But that was the last time that happened. That was almost over 15 years ago at this point. So we haven't seen that in a while. But if there is an instance where I could genuinely see it happening, this could be it. Because there was a second on the clock. There was a wrongful call that definitely altered the end of the game. This wasn't like wrong foul, a couple minutes ago and then the end of the game. This was like egregiously wrong. The game was robbed. Now, I'm not saying that the Knicks 100% would have won in overtime, but I am saying that we were robbed as fans of what the actual outcome of that game should have been, right? After the game, the chief referee for the crew that was officiating that game even went out and said, yeah, that was a wrong call. That was not a foul. We shouldn't have called that. So I'm really interested to see what the league ends up doing with this, if they allow the Knicks and Rockets to replay the end of the game. But I think that could be really interesting. And that would probably be the only time I tune into a game with the intent of only watching a couple of minutes. Because, they would probably only replay. They probably start from that 1 second mark and then go straight into overtime. Just play an overtime period. I think that actually is probably the best case scenario for, a protest being successful and then them replaying it. Because you're now given so much more time. You're given a full period. It's not like we're getting everybody, back into the same city to play against each other and they're playing for the last, 25 seconds, one shot. So I like that. I think that it could potentially be a successful protest, and I'm interested to see what the league ends up doing with it. Just some other general housekeeping stuff, some other things I wanted to touch on. For any of my fantasy guys out there, pick up Trey Mann. So the Thunder traded Trey Mann for Gordon Hayward. Davis Bertans was also in the trade, going from OKC to Charlotte. But Trey Mann is a very talented guard. He's very good. He was very good in OKC when he played. He was a bit of a flamethrower. He gets hot, he cools off, he gets hot, he cools off. He's not the most consistent, unbelievable talent, which is why he was basically phased out of the OKC rotation as soon as we started getting competitive and being the top seed in the West. But nonetheless, very talented player, and now he's in Charlotte, where he has the opportunity to become one of the primary guards on that team, right? LaMelo Ball has had ankle injury after ankle injury. For any of my fantasy guys, that LaMelo Ball has been sitting on the IR for most of the season, unfortunately. But as I was saying, Trey Mann is absolutely a killer pickup here. His first 2 games, he had near triple-double numbers. In his most recent game, his scoring has taken a bit of an uptick too. He's going to be a stud. He's going to fill up stat sheet for you. He's not going to turn the ball over too much, but he is going to score. He's going to set up his teammates. Hornets are actually fun to watch now. They're fun when LaMelo's playing, but now that they've kind of gone ahead and blown everything up, it feels like the team is running with they have a new engine behind them almost. And I'm not saying Trey Mann is the engine. I'm saying they're moving with new passion. You know what I mean? It's cool. You got hometown Seth Curry is playing on the Hornets now. They made a couple of moves. They brought in Grant Williams. So overall, some good stuff, I think, is happening in Charlotte. And for my fantasy heads, Trey Man is a great pickup, at least for this season. Dynasty leagues, he's worth a hold if you got the spot. I think once LaMelo comes back, he's definitely going to see a decrease in his production and his value. But with the health of LaMelo Ball, you never really know. So Trey Man as the second guard option on that team, if that's what he, fully evolves into, especially now that Rozier's gone, Trey Man could be a great pickup. And finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about today was Isaiah Stewart punching Drew Eubanks in the face. So we haven't gotten any video yet. We haven't gotten anything super concrete. The most we've heard from sources is that it was unprovoked, right? What does unprovoked mean in a situation like this? I wish I could tell you. You're hearing it was unprovoked from Suns staff, right? So obviously they're going to say, hey, our guy did nothing wrong. This guy's crazy out of his mind, And we know Isaiah Stewart does have some history with physical altercation when he got into his little scrum with LeBron. Was that a year, maybe 2 years ago? But so he has sort of that track record behind him now, the same way that Draymond does, and he's going to be faced with the same scrutiny that Draymond does based on not the people that they are, but the things that they've done, right? So more than likely, I could imagine that they were going back and forth and saying things to each other, Eubanks and Stewart, and Isaiah Stewart maybe, pushed him, he pushed him back, and then he hit him, and we don't know what happened. We do know that this is not something that you want revolving around your sport. Hockey, fights are awesome. Everybody loves fights in hockey. It's not part of the brand of the NBA, and it's not part of good basketball. I think it's kind of funny that out of all the people to beef with and, make that attempt on, it's Drew Eubanks. They got KD and Devin Booker, Beal maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm excited to listen to the Charles Barkley and Jason Tatum All-Star game commentary. Not the All-Star game. I think they're doing the celebrity game. Excited to watch Kai and CJ Stroud and whoever else on the celebrity games. So yeah, hopefully all that ends up being a banger. And if you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like, leave a comment. Check out the socials, posting clips and highlights from all the videos on TikTok and Instagram. Link those down in the description below. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed, let me know. Until next time, thanks for watching.